Welcome back into our HBCU Game Day studios. It is week 7. It's October. It's spooky season, and a lot of wild things are going on the football field, and we are going to get into it on our HBCU Friday night special. We have some SWAC games to preview. We have some CIAA and SIAC, and of course, we have some MEAC games to get into. You know, we do cover the MEAC here at HBCU Game Day. We read the comments as well. I am Symone. He is a Wilton Jackson. Wilton, how are you feeling?
I'm doing good, Symone. It's good. You know, it's good to be back for another week of college football. You said it best. I mean, it's October. It's getting cold outside. I'm gonna be honest with you. I ran a couple times earlier this week, and it was in like the 50s and 60s, and I was like, okay, this sounds like real football with them.
Absolutely, and we got some homecoming games this weekend as well. Great homecoming, great tailgating weather. We'll get into that matchup a little bit later. We're going to get into these games, and then stay tuned to the end because we do have a new segment, Wilton's Picks, where Wilton will officially have to stand on business, and it's going to be on paper, and he has to pick some teams because y'all know sometimes Wilton be making picks on like half the matchups we talk about, and not the other half. But we have him standing on business going forward, so make sure you stay tuned for that. But let's go ahead and get into our first matchup. We have Southern University at Texas Southern. Southern 2-3 coming off a loss to Nichols. Texas Southern 2-3 as well, coming off of a big win against Virginia Union Lynchburg. Wilton, what are you seeing in this matchup?
You know, Symone, when I look at this matchup, this is a very pivotal matchup, you know, when you start talking about SWAC West play. So if you're Southern, you're looking to see what type of consistency are you going to get on offense. If you're Coach Graves, you're still trying to figure out what the offense is going to look like, especially due to the fact that Southern has been having quarterback issues. They started Xavier T-Set, who this week was day-to-day according to The Advocate, the local newspaper there, but he could be back for this game. Noah Biden didn't necessarily have the best week last week, and you're talking about a freshman quarterback in Jalen Woods who got some playing time and didn't necessarily play bad, but by the time that he got into the game, it was essentially, you know, the game was pretty much done. So when you think about that, you really got to figure out which quarterback is going to essentially be able to help you win a game this week. You know, it may not necessarily be the same quarterback for the next week, but who's going to help you win a game this week? Then also, if you're Southern, you want to get the running game established early, right? You know, we know their running backs, Kobe Dillon, Kendrick Rhymes. You want to get them active in the offense, and essentially for them to do that, the offensive line for Southern has to win the battle up front. And also, if you're Southern, the biggest thing that you want to do in this game, even beyond your offense, is being able to stop the run. Texas Southern is going to run the ball with running back Quintel Quinn. So that means if you're the offensive line, you want to make sure, or not the offensive line, if you're the defensive line, you want to make sure that you maintain the gaps and make sure if you're Kelby Givens, SWAC preseason defensive player of the year, you want to make sure that you're in the backfield early and often and stopping TSU from running the ball. But then, of course, if you're Texas Southern, you want to be prepared to face all of SU's quarterbacks. You never know which one is going to get, you know, most of the playing time. You obviously want to limit Rhymes and Dillon's impact out of the backfield. And then, again, Texas Southern is going to run the ball. But in that, Jordan Davis will be a part of that. That's their quarterback right now. And then the rotational quarterbacks that Texas Southern has had. So you want to make sure that you are limiting him from making plays in the offense.
That should be a good one. And another good matchup that we have is Alcorn heading to Grambling State. Grambling State is 3-2 right now, but they are coming off of a 5-overtime loss to Prairie View A&M 2 weeks ago. So that game, you know, they put some extra miles on Grambling. I know they're going to be wanting to get this one done in regulation. Alcorn is 3-2 right now. They are coming off a high. They came off a homecoming win against UAPB last week. Wilton, what are you seeing in this SWAC West matchup?
In this matchup in particular, Symone, this is one of those games that you're going to start to get to see which teams are the pretenders and which teams are the contenders. And this starts with this game. And if you're Alcorn, the keys to success for you is obviously going to be with the play of Xavier Vaughn, your quarterback. Vaughn leads the SWAC in rushing yards and rushing touchdowns. And if you're Alcorn facing a Grambling defense that gives up just over 153 yards on the ground, you want to be able to win the battle up front. And be able to run the ball against them. Also, if you're Alcorn, keep an eye on running back Jacorian Sewell. He's been very beneficial for Alcorn on the ground this year. He's rushed for 475 yards on 85 carries and 3 touchdowns, which is second best in the SWAC. And then, of course, if you're Alcorn, more than anything, you definitely have to find a way to contain Miles Crawley. and not letting him get comfortable in the pocket. When Crawley can sit in the pocket and make plays, I mean, he's one of the most dynamic players in the year. I mean, one of the most dynamic players in the SWAC. It's the reason why he was predicted the SWAC preseason offensive player of the year. And then when you think about that too, if you're Alcorn, you want to make sure that you convert on third downs, limit turnovers, and control the time of possession. If the Braves can essentially keep Crawley on the sideline, it limits the Tigers' chances of putting their offense on the field and scoring opportunities.
And that's a matchup that's going to mean a lot going down the line when it comes to determining the SWAC West. Now let's talk about our first and only homecoming matchup for week 7 on HBCU Friday night. It's Bethune-Cookman University heading to Alabama A&M. Alabama A&M coming into their homecoming 2-3, looking to get to 500. Their last game, they took an L to Jackson State University. Bethune-Cookman has taken 5 L's this season. They are 0-5. Alabama State and Miles Crawley, like we just talked about, was the last team to put a L notch on that belt that's full of L's. Wilton, how can Bethune-Cookman notch a win in that belt?
I think, Symone, when you start talking about teams like Bethune-Cookman, you look at their records and you say to yourself, like, they're 0-5, but at the same time, when you look at this team, the wins haven't showed up for them, but it's not that they lack talent. I think it's more so the fact of them being able to finish a game or starting strong. So if you're Bethune-Cookman, obviously you want to be able to put pressure on Alabama A&M's quarterbacks. You want to be able to make sure that you win the battle up front as well and not allow Donovan Eaglin to get any consistent yards in the running game. You know, obviously Donovan Eaglin, we know what his ability is for Alabama A&M, one of the more dynamic running backs in the SWAC. And then also Bethune-Cookman, we've definitely seen this. Just go back to the Clark-Atlanta game. We've seen Bethune-Cookman give up big plays in timely situations. This is a game that if you want to win, you cannot give up big plays.
I like it. We're going to see, you know, those teams that haven't got a win yet, those are the most dangerous ones. So, you know, some Alabama A&M fans might be like, oh, we got Bethune-Cookman for homecoming, you know, say let's cruise on to this win. But those are the teams that's hungry, they have nothing to lose, and they're going to leave it all out on the field. So let's keep our eye out on that game. It could be an upset special. But it's time to talk about the MEAC. Do y'all hear that? We are talking about the MEAC, the Middle Eastern Athletic Conference on HBCU Game Day, because y'all swear we don't talk about the MEAC. You know, when it's something to talk about, we gonna talk about it. And this week, it's something to talk about. It is Sacred Heart heading to Howard University. This game is going to be at Washington, D.C. Howard 2-3 right now, coming off a loss to Princeton. Sacred Heart sitting at 3-3. They're coming off a game, a big win against a MEAC opponent in Norfolk State University. Now, Wilton, this is HBCU Game Day, so we root for the black schools. So how can Howard beat Sacred Heart?
You know, Symone, I hope that the people that commented and said that we didn't talk about MEAC games, I hope they get the memo now, because I think you might have said MEAC like at least 5 times.
Hopefully they stayed this long in the video. I guarantee you they probably watched them 3 SWAC video games and they already jumped in the comments, where's MEAC? Or clicked off.
Absolutely. No, it's just hilarious. But I will say this, for Howard to get this win, and before I even say that, Howard has beaten Sacred Heart before in 2021, so they're no strangers to each other. But for Howard to get this win, they must be prepared to stop the Pioneers' rushing attack. And if you're looking at Sacred Heart's running backs, they have 2 in Jalen Madison and Xavier Lee. They have combined for 824 yards on the ground in 6 games. So Howard enters Saturday's game ranked 3rd in the MEAC in rushing yards allowed. So the key to shutting down the Pioneers, more so than anything, is being able to stop the run. Not to mention, Sacred Heart hasn't had the best in terms of scoring on offense this season. They've scored 15 points or less in 4 of its 6 games this season. So if you're Howard, you want to make sure that your rush defense and really just your defense overall is strong in terms of being ready to stop the Pioneers' rushing attack and more so the Pioneers' offense. If you're also Howard, the Jared Hunter show, we know what Jared Hunter can do. Feed him the ball early. Hunter sits 3rd in the MEAC in yards per game with nearly 76. And then, of course, you have so many other dynamic playmakers for Howard, one of them being Casey Hawthorne at wide receiver, and then maintaining that physicality for 60 minutes. And a couple players to watch on Howard's defense that I think could be very, very beneficial in them picking up this win. is obviously defensive back Kenny Gallup Jr. We know what he means to that defense. Defensive lineman Jamil Stewart. You're talking about other players like Noah Miles and Terrence Holland and Carson Henson. I think if those players that I just listed are able to have some type of major impact in this game on Saturday, Howard gets this win.
All right, let's turn our attention to the SIAC. We have a big matchup down south. It's Albany State heading to Alabama to take on Miles College. Both of these teams are coming into week 7 hot right now, okay? Cool them down. Cool them down. They are both on a 3-game winning streak. Albany State getting their latest win against Allen University. Miles College getting their last win against Central State. But one of these teams are going to have that winning streak snap this week. Wilton, what is it going to take for both of these programs to keep that streak going?
I think if you're Albany State, obviously it starts with strong quarterback play from Isaiah Knowles. Against Allen last week, Knowles threw for 6 touchdown passes. He also leads the league in passing yards, touchdowns, and efficiency. So if Albany State wants to get this win, it starts with the play of Isaiah Knowles. And then also getting key stops against the Bears offense, particularly against the running game. Miles was without their leading rusher in the SIAC last week in Janero Scott in their win against Central State. So if they want to be able to slow down Miles, it starts with slowing down Janero Scott if he plays in this game. And then also, if you're Albany State, you want to be able to limit Cameron Ivey's impact. While Scott is, essentially the Bears' featured running back, Miles has made more of an emphasis to be more balanced in recent weeks. So being with that, you want to make sure that you are able to contain him as well. If you're Miles, if Janero Scott plays in this game, this is great, because this is the key running back that you've had. This is the guy that, is going to, essentially be able to run the ball like you would like him to in your offense. And then if you are Miles as well, you must be prepared. If you are Cameron Ivey, you must be prepared to take a heavier load, just in the sense, or in the case that Janero Scott does not play in this game. And defensively, if you're Miles, you must be prepared to slow down Isaiah Knowles.
All right, that's a lot. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work these two teams got to do, according to Wilton. We're going to see how it plays out in Alabama tomorrow. Now let's head up north a little bit and talk about 2 big CIAA matchups. First, we have Shaw at Winston-Salem State University. Both of these teams sitting at 4-2. However, Winston-Salem State University is coming off of a loss, and they're going to be hungry for a win at home. Last week, they took a loss to Virginia Union University. And then on the flip side, Shaw is coming off a big win over Bluefield State. So Wilton, when you look at this one, it's going to be in Winston-Salem State. Shaw is going to be on the road, but barely on the road. They're driving, less than an hour? Right. What do you see in this game?
What I'm seeing in this game is, if I'm Winston-Salem State, I'm looking to get Trevon Hester going in the game early. He sits 4th in total rushing yards this season in the CIAA, and obviously, Symone, he's one of the biggest reasons the Rams are having success on offense this season. It would bode well for Winston-Salem State to get him going early, considering the fact that Shaw entered Saturday's game at number 7 in rush defense, giving up 145.2 yards per game. Also, if you're Winston-Salem State, you want to take advantage of all scoring opportunities. The Rams ranked 4th in red zone offense percentage, with 6 of their touchdowns coming on the ground, with 4 of them through the air. I will say this too, just as they're good in scoring in the red zone, they need to tighten up on the red zone defense and making sure that they're limiting Christian Peters' impact. You're talking about, a Christian Peters quarterback who has thrown for the second most passing yards in the conference, while leading the league in passing touchdowns. That's for Winston-Salem State. Now, if you're Shaw, you want to be able to win the battle up front and allow Peters to make plays down the field. Obviously, you want to be able to get Trevon Tinsley, their running back, going. You're talking about a running back in Trevon Tinsley that's averaging 5.7 yards per carry and has rushed for 544 yards on the ground, second most in the CIAA this season. And also, you want to be prepared to maintain gaps along the defensive line and limit Hester's impact in this game.
All righty. I can't wait to see that pick at the end, because last week you picked against Winston-Salem State and they lost. You know what I'm saying? They might be getting a little mad at you in the comments. I can't remember. I saw the picks, but I can't remember. Y'all stay till the end to see Wilton's picks. We have one more matchup before we get into the picks. It's Fayetteville State University heading to Livingstone. They're going to be playing on that ice blue field. Y'all let us know in the comments which colored HBCU field do you like better? You like the red field at Clark Atlanta, or you like the ice blue field at Livingstone? Which one do y'all like better? But this is Fayetteville State University coming in 3-2, coming in to this game with a win over Bowie. And then we have Livingstone at 4-2. Livingstone is riding a 2-game win streak. They're going to try to extend that against Fayetteville State. Last win coming against Elizabeth City University, and they also beat Lincoln, PA on that 2-game winning streak. Wilton, what are you seeing in this one?
When I look at this Fayetteville State team, I'm looking at a team that's ranked 5th in total offense in CIAA and ranked 2nd in the CIAA in passing yards. So with those stats, knowing that, I'm looking at Joe Owens Jr. to make sure he has a strong game if Fayetteville State wants to continue its winning ways and continue to be successful. And two of Owens' biggest receivers that are very impactful in their offense is wide receivers David Barrows and Cameron King. They must come ready to play, considering that Livingstone is allowing the 2nd fewest yards of offense per game in the CIAA and the 2nd fewest passing yards per game in the CIAA. Also, if you're Fayetteville State, from a defensive standpoint, you want to make sure that you are slowing down Livingstone's dynamic running back, Mohamed Yakaminga. If you don't know how to spell his name or even pronounce his name, just know that if you see this guy running through the trenches, he's going to be running hard. He's going to be running fast. He sits 3rd in total rushing yards this season at 477, and he's averaging 4.8 yards a carry. So if you're Fayetteville State, you want to be sure that you're able to slow him down. If you're Livingstone, you want to be able to slow down and contain Joe Owens Jr., getting pressure on him, which the Blue Bears have been able to have some strong spurts of defense. They're allowing the 2nd fewest yards of offense per game, the 2nd fewest passing yards per game too. And also, if you are Livingstone, you want to be able to get the Broncos offense out the field. They're ranked number 2. This is Livingstone, that is. Livingstone's ranked number 2 in 3rd down defense this season, and they lead the CIAA in sacks with 15 and fumbles recovered with 5. So if you're Livingstone, defense could be the biggest key in winning this game. And then also just being able to make plays with your running back and in your running game on offense.
All right, now we got the analysis. We got the scene set. We had a few jokey jokes. It's time to stand on business. Wilton Jackson's Picks of the Week, Week 7 edition. Wilton, let's see your picks. All right, so Wilton is taking Southern University in a win on the road against Texas Southern. He has Grambling holding down that home field over Alcorn. Alabama A&M. Dang, Wilton, you can't give Bethune a win? Now you got Alabama A&M putting another loss on Bethune-Cookman's belt. But, you know, Alabama A&M, they got to hold up at homecoming. You know what I'm saying? You got to do that homecoming. Then he has Howard. Y'all see that MEAC, folks? He gave Howard a win over Sacred Heart. He has Albany State going on a 4-game winning streak. Sorry, Miles fans. He has y'all losing at home and snapping y'all win streak. He is picking Winston-Salem State this week. No haterade coming this week from him. And he has Fayetteville State University on the road against Livingstone. Wilton, okay. Y'all let us know what y'all think about his picks in the comments. What record you think you're going to have this week?
I'll be good for maybe like 4-2. 4-2. If I go 500, 3-3, it's like, okay, that'll work, but I would definitely say 4-2.
Was it 6 games? I thought it was 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. How many games was it, Miles? 8? It was 7 games. You missed
one.
So
we'll say 4-3 because I don't want to give I wouldn't give myself 5-2. I'll say 4-3.
Okay, wow, we'll see. We are going to see. Make sure y'all stay tuned next week for the Week 8 edition of HBCU Friday Night. For Week 7, it is Symone Stanley. He is Wilton Jackson. This is HBCU Game Day, signing off from my Atlanta studios.